But let me share something about my mother's suicide. I didn't know my mother was suicide. None of us kids knew that she was suicidal. But my grandparents did, my aunt did, and they had encouraged her to get help, et cetera, et cetera. And she apparently, in the last year of her life, had threatened this a lot. And the family had done everything that they could, and she wouldn't take any of the advice, and she wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. And one day, she went over to my aunt's house, and my aunt was very frustrated with my mother. And she said, my mother said, "You know, Joanne, I'm just going to do it." And my aunt looked at my mother and said, "You know what, Mary? Then just do it." Now, that's not what her advice was. Her advice the whole time was seek help, get help. We're here for you, but you have to change your life. She was tired of hearing what she thought was an empty threat just to, gain sympathy or whatever. She didn't understand it. My aunt carried that around for decades after my mother died, because my mother committed suicide about, I think it was 5 days later, 4 or 5 days later. And my aunt immediately thought, "Oh my gosh," and I told her to do it. No, sweetheart, you didn't. You didn't. You said something very human in a moment of frustration with a sister who had been threatening to do it for a long time, and you supported for years.
And that's a different thing than we're talking about.
Totally different. Mm-hmm. So I understand, because partly I am afraid that you have a moment like that and anybody could be blamed for it. And that's not what we're talking about. This is somebody who over months was encouraging. Now, the second part of his argument is where it gets dangerous. And it gets dangerous because we no longer have a right and wrong. We no longer have a moral foundation for our country. And for us as humans, we can't agree on what is right and wrong. So we need the judge to do it. And don't think that there will be people that will use this case to make all kinds of points.